All right, we'll now link up with Eshoma Moimudu and Tijesu Adeoye in our Abuja studio for FCT Brief. Good morning, guys. Handing over to you now.
Good morning, Veronica. It's good to hear from you this morning.
Yeah, good morning, Veronica, and also to the colleagues over there.
Well, this morning we're going to be discussing security, but quite important, we saw a statement made by the Minister of Defense in credit to President Bola Tinubu saying state police is no longer an option. I'm glad that we are beginning to look in the right direction and not, consider generic options of, addressing this problem. All options should be laid on the table at this point because the matter has really degenerated and, the lives of innocent Nigerians are being put at risk on a daily basis. So if state police is one way to look at it, I think that is one aspect we should consider. If the centralized system of government, the centralized security systems are not working anymore, then we should be considering, local options and beginning to look inward. What do you think?
I quite agree with you. Every system has its own imperfection. So for those who are arguing that state police will be misused by governors, we say, look, it will correct itself. They say the advantages far outweigh disadvantages. We need the state police because there is no way we say we practice the federal structure and we keep saying we have a centralized control structure of the police. So let's have a state police. We will grow with time about it. But if you look at the various crises happening in various communities, if you have state police, I think it will be reduced because you have people recruited into the force from the very community. They understand the people, even while they are holding their meetings planning. It's easier for them to get intelligence because they live amongst the people. The force is drawn from amongst the people. So I think Mr. President has hit the nail on the head. It's now in the court of the National Assembly. I think the last time I checked, even the Governors Forum voted in support of it. So if I think the Council of State also voted in support of it. So let's see how they will start putting in place the necessary legislation.
Well, I hope that it really translates to real action and not just lip service. Well, let's jump straight into what we have for you today. Good morning and you're welcome to FCT Brief. Today, we're focusing on the heart of Nigeria's middle belt, and that is Benue State, a land once known for its rich agriculture and cultural heritage, now scarred by cycles of violence, bloodshed, and the destruction of lives and property. From Makurdi to Guma, Logo to Agatu, Gwere West, and other communities, the tale is the same. Villages reduced to rubble, families torn apart, and fear gripping many communities. Local leaders lament that beyond the numbers lie untold stories of women widowed, children orphaned, and communities erased from the map. The Benue crisis is complex. It's a mixture of land conflict, resource competition, and weak border surveillance.
The killings represent more than just a security crisis. They challenge the very essence of governance, justice, and social contract between the people and the state. As stakeholders call for urgent intervention, from strengthening early warning systems to resolving farmer-herder disputes, the time to act is now. President Tinubu has ordered the military to implement his earlier order on the crisis. The president is also adjusting his schedule to enable him visit Benue State on Wednesday. For the people of Benue, ending the bloodshed and halting the destruction is not just a plea for peace. It is a demand for justice, for restoration, and for a future where they can live without fear. For more on the Benue killings and how to end the bloodshed and destruction of property, we have in the studio Senator Titus, representing Benue North. Benue Northwest, joining. Nice to have you here, distinguished.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you, my sister.
Thank you, sir.
And also joining via Zoom from Benue State is a human and gender rights activist, Ukan Kurugh. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much.
All right. Distinguished, let me start with you. What happened in Yellowater, it needed not to have happened if the various institutions of states, at the federal and the state level, were active in their responsibilities. But sadly, it happened. Children were killed, mothers killed, and some quarters say hundreds died. Now, Mr. President will be visiting. Yeah. Now, what is the political class in Benue State? Talking about every one of you, the governor, the senators, the SGF, what are you doing to collaborate for peace and also to prepare the ground for Mr. President so that it will be not just a visit, but a remarkable visit that is bringing an end to the crisis?
Well, let me thank you for giving me this opportunity to make my inputs on the burning issue of insecurity in Benue State and other parts of North Central region in Nigeria as a whole. I want to start by saying I got the news about the President's Wednesday visit with a lot of relief. When you have a crisis situation as serious as the one we have in Benue State, and then the father of the nation, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces, tends to focus on it, you have the hope that this is the end of the problem, because his visit will not only give our people a sense of consolation, it will also give them courage to stay focused and face what has bedeviled them. And Mr. President himself will be availed the opportunity of hearing firsthand from the people who have become prey in the hands of their invaders and tormentors. So, as a senator representing the local governments that have become the epicenter of this crisis, I feel proud that now I belong to a system that cares for my people. I feel comfortable that Mr. President will see in practical terms the reality of the agonies, the pains, the sufferings, the deprivations that our people have been subjected to over time, especially in the last few months. So we welcome him with very high hopes and a huge sense of relief that, yes, he's a caring leader and his coming to Benue would put a stop to this nonsense that has been ongoing for a long time.
When you say his coming will put a stop to this, what is happening in Benue State, and it gives you a sense of relief, what kind of action should Nigerians and also the people of Benue expect from this kind of visit? Because it's not just about the president coming to visit and see what's on ground. What kind of action is going to follow that?
Well, Benue State, as you already know, has gone through this crisis for a long time. And at some point, there was the consideration of a law that was passed in place, then that was put in place by the Benue House of Assembly, called Open Grazing Prohibition and Ranches Establishment Law, which has not been enforced. During Governor Oton, this law was passed, and he tried to enforce it. But along the line, it was politicized, and he couldn't achieve anything. Today, another governor has come in place, and this government is in the same political party with the center. So, unlike the Otom scenario, who now jumped boat and went to PDP, you could say there was a gap. The present administration is APC. Governor Leah is APC. We are all APC. The center is APC. So I think, thinking in terms of concrete steps, this is the time for this law to be put in place. The state government needs to play her own part, and then the federal government also play her own part to be able to implement this law. Let everybody who has cattle in Benue, who practices livestock business, whether you are a Fulani man or you are a Tiu man, know that a law is in place and it is up to them to comply with the law. So, in terms of concrete steps, the present visit will facilitate the implementation of this law, and that has to be done through a directive from the president.
Okay. Now, Mr. Ukan, the president will be visiting tomorrow, and considering the kind of crisis that happened in the last 1 week, the killings, what will you be expecting? Now, the senator just talked about the open grazing, anti-open grazing law. Do you think implementing this law in itself is sufficient to stopping this crisis? Okay, distinguished, let me come to you with that question. Yeah. This anti-open grazing law, if it was opposed during autumn and because of some reasons you could not implement, do you think it is that easy to implement? And who are those forces, those individuals that are against it, and why are they against this law?
Well, the autumn scenario differs to a large extent from what we now have. Autumn enacted this law, you know, and he took it as a solution to the problem. He promoted the law. And there was some kind of restraint. We didn't have the magnitude of the crisis under Autumn as we have now. For example, in my local government of origin called Benue West, we have 15 council wards. Under Autumn, the crisis were restricted to 3 council wards out of the 15. Because the fear of the law made the elders limit themselves to places that would create less problems. They were not galvanizing the entire length and breadth of the local government, as is the case now. Now we have a new government in place that has jettisoned this law. It has become a free-for-all. Out of the 15 council wards of my local government of origin called Benue West, 13 have been overrun. Now people are living in only 2 council wards because the law is no longer promoted.
The law was never implemented. No, so you didn't jettison any law because it was never.
There was a fear that if you go to some level, the law will catch up with you. Indeed, the present administration was arresting cows, arresting flying elders, and prosecuting them. So there was some fear. The case now is different. All right. The present administration is no longer talking about the law. Nobody hears them. And listen, the governor of Nasarawa State himself made statements to the effect that what has worsened the Benue now is the jettisoning of this open grazing provision law by the earlier administration. So if the governor is afraid for whatever reason about enforcing this law, the visit of Mr. President should embolden him. When the president comes, these are the issues that will be tabled to him for consideration. You know, we run a constitutional government, a constitutional democracy, and the rule of law is at the center of constitutionalism. So why will a law duly passed by the House of Assembly not be implemented? If the state government does not have the balls, does not have the courage to speak to
this
issue.
Senator, let's speak to our guest on Zoom. Mr. Kurugh, I would like to know what's really behind this crisis, if you really understand. Is it still the old farmer headers clash, or is it just a deeper community conflict that we are not aware of? Can you take us through that?
Okay, so let me first and foremost say thank you for having me again. And let me be categorically clear, because over time, we've made use of this word, farmer headers clashes. We do not clash with Fulani headsmen. We do not clash with these terrorists, because I call them terrorists, because their mode of operation, the way they kill, maim, and go, it's not something anybody should call a clash. It's not a clash. We are peasant farmers. We farm. We farm for the country. We farm for survival. So, at what point has this been termed farmer headers clashes, and this has been used way over time? No, let me also say that the coming of the president, he needs to really disabuse his mind over the statement his advisor Bayo Onanuga said. He said the reprisal attacks were enough. It's time to sit and have a dialogue. What does he mean by reprisal attack? What is reprisal attack? Who is attacking the headsmen? What do they want?
So even you're saying this is not a communal clash?
It's more than.
Are you saying this is foreign? It's not within the community. There's no communal clash. Is that what you're saying?
This is, for me, I'm talking about what I know. This is not foreign. These guys, we know them. These are headsmen. What do they want? There's an agenda. Why is everybody afraid to talk about it? This is something that has been there. It's in the books.
Now, Kurugh, please, can you clarify something? You just said they are headsmen. And you're saying that it's not herders farmer crisis. You say they are herdsmen. So what do you mean saying that these people who attacked are herdsmen?
Let me farmer herders crisis. We do not fight.
Okay.
We are not fighting these people.
Okay.
We've never attacked these people. We are farmers. Okay. We are peasant farmers. We farm to survive. We farm to feed the community. We farm to feed the country and the state. So because we have used this narrative for so long, these people have had the temerity to keep attacking us. And again, nobody, no headsman or no these attackers, none of them have been apprehended and prosecuted that we know that has.
Okay, distinguished. Let me just read out a quote here. I think the governor made this statement. We will find you, talking about the attackers, we will find you, we will expose you, and we will deal with you with the full force of the law.
Yeah.
He said, Kurugh said, we know them.
Yeah.
The governor said, we will find you.
Yeah.
You just talked about the Nasarawa governor who is saying if the anti-grazing law was implemented. Yeah. Meanwhile, some persons say these people came in from Nasarawa state.
And it's a fact.
So why would the governor of Nasarawa say this is the reason? What has he done? Are you aware of what he has done to help control the infiltration of certain individuals from his state to another state?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to speak for the governor of Nasarawa state. I would rather admit that the situation in Benue state cannot be likened to a communal clash in the right sense of it. When you speak about communal clash, you are talking about existing communities within a geopolitical area fighting among themselves. We don't have a standing Fulani population in Benue state to be addressed as a community. They are invaders coming from different parts of the country, to take over our farmlands and stay there. So it is not as if there is a sedentary Fulani population in Benue state that constitutes a community that is scrambling for space. No, these people, in the right sense of it, are invaders coming from outside, and Nasarawa in particular has become a location from which they come to attack people in Benue state and run back whenever there is some kind of reaction. So the governor of Nasarawa state should better address what efforts he is making to stem the tide of the invading people that come from his own side of the country. So that is up for him to answer.
All right, Mr. Kurugh, you just said that hold on. You just said that you know these people that are attacking your people. Why has it been so difficult for security agencies to, tame this situation? Is it that they are having poor communication with the people in the community, or what exactly is going on?
Well, let me state again that I might not be able to say so much about the security because it's not my field. But it's something we all need to know. The former governor Ukan cried bitterly and said, these attackers, these herdsmen, these terrorists were coming from Lokobi in Nasarawa. They were coming from away in Nasarawa, and almost everybody knows this. We on the
We'll come back to him when his network is restored. But Senator, Governor Alia just recently mentioned that these attacks are politically motivated, and he also pointed fingers to lawmakers. And there was even a reaction. We saw the
rejoinder from us.
Yes. So, how do you now just oppose this together? Lawmakers are saying they are not to be blamed. The governor is saying he knows, and he's pointing fingers at the lawmakers for being responsible for
this. In the last 2-3 days, Governor Alia has made statements that he himself cannot even qualify as sensible. So I don't want to talk about that. How will anybody on earth say members of the National Assembly or Abuja-based politicians are harboring the terrorists, are feeding them and arming them to kill their own people? When you know, I have been in this studio several times speaking on this issue, calling on the attention of the federal government and the state government to support my people and liberate them from this challenge. And then somebody will have the audacity to accuse me and my colleagues of sponsoring the killing of our own people to achieve what? The same earlier, a few days ago, said there are religious leaders. So the way the man is talking, I think there's need for some kind of medication.
So are you saying that it's disconnected?
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Okay, distinguish.
Okay, yesterday he said we'll go after them. No longer National Assembly members. Then religious leaders. Then so he's so incoherent, disorganized.
Okay. Yeah, distinguish. If you remember the very first question I asked you, that the president will be coming, and I said, how is the political class? I said, those of you in the federal and the state. It's because of this political divide amongst you. The governor is trading blame on the National Assembly. The National Assembly is trading blame
that you have done what?
Trading blame on the governor.
Don't make any sense.
When are you people going to put your house in order? Your people are traumatized. Whether it's the governor, whether it's the National Assembly, whether it's the State Assembly, your people are traumatized. When are you going to put your house in order and fix this problem?
There is a saying that a lazy man complains about his tools. We are elected in the same political party with the governor. We are willing and prepared to work with the governor. The problem is that the governor is not willing to deal with any one of us. So that's why I say the coming of Mr. President may create a window of reconciliation, but it is based on what the governor does, because we are in the same political party. And there is no basis for what is happening. But there is this ego trip that the governor has embarked upon, that he wants to do it alone. Look, democracy is about collective leadership. But if the governor is not willing to carry us on board, what do you do? Since the governor came on board, we have not had a stakeholders meeting. The governor has sharply divided the state between Benue and Abuja. He referred to us as Abuja politician. This is someone that is less than 2 years old in this business called politics. And he has divided the state. So if Mr. President comes, all of us, who is benefiting from this crisis? For crying out loud. Everybody wants an end to this. But the platform for us to sit and engage is not created by the governor. Let me give you an example. The governor of Plateau State, Caleb Mufan, is elected on the platform of a different political party. All the 3 senators from his state are different political parties. The governor came here, met in the office of Senator Lalong, and said, Plateau first. Let us put our house together and face our common enemy. Bonalia will not even pick our telephone calls. He will not react whenever you need his attention. So,
Mr. Kurugh,
how do you work together on that kind of atmosphere?
Mr. Kurugh, do you think that the governor, you've heard all what Senator Titus Zam has said, but from your own perspective, do you think that the governor has a grasp of this situation happening in Benue State, or this is all just political talk?
Your colleague said it. Until our house is put in order. We don't deserve this. The killings are too much. The answer is just very simple. We must put our house in order. Because everybody is saying that we are divided. Read the newspapers, read the blogs, read what people are saying. There can't be peace in Benue when we're all fighting ourselves. We don't have a common voice. And I'm happy the president is coming. He's going to hear from everybody, the traditional rulers, the civil society. And if they are going to be as bold as I am, and I pray that I'm given the chance to speak, I will tell him to his hearing, I don't need to be afraid of anybody. Because seeing the carnage that have happened in almost 9 local governments and counting, it's appalling to see that we are still talking politics over human lives.
Mr. Kurugh, definitely, just like you said, it's a relief that the president is coming. But let's also look at the intelligence community. Well, would you say that the intelligence community didn't get wind of the planned attack before it happened? And if they never got the wind of such planning, are you disturbed?
Well, let me state this categorically clear again. Our people are literally afraid of the armed forces. They've raised some concerns. I think if you follow them, was it on Channels TV or so, where our people said, let the military go, we don't want them because they are collaborating with the attackers. I might not have agreed with that totally, but information is not passed easily to the military any longer by our people. So information dissemination is distorted between the military and the civilians and the villagers. There needs to be some kind of reconciliation. There needs to be some kind of mutual understanding, some kind of let's sit and talk. Let's sit and talk. Let's know what you guys are seeing and how it's difficult to reach out to us. So there's some kind of problem, information-wise, with the military and my people.
All right.
And until the military try to sit down with these villagers and let them know that, look, we are here for you, because the allegations are too much. It's not something I should start saying on national TV.
All right.
The allegations
Senator,
are too much. And the people don't even trust the military to start.
You just heard what...
In as much as the military is doing its best to curtail the crisis and to see how they can help get these invaders, this alleged Fulani terrorist herdsmen.
All right. You just heard what Mr. Kurugh said. Yeah. The people don't even trust the military to protect them. Yeah. And we also hear that the security agencies were tipped off of this attack before it happened. Yeah. If they had such intelligence and this happened still, shouldn't the security agencies be held responsible?
Look, I addressed a stakeholders meeting in my local government 2 weeks ago after the 1st June attack in my local government headquarters of Gwe West. The headquarters is called Naka. I had some concerns from members of my community about the lack of commitment on the side of the military. I addressed them. I said no. Rather, you should be calling for the deployment of more military personnel. The situation is too complicated for you to add another layer to it. All over the country, wherever there are challenges, it is the military, that are dragged in, because the scope of the crisis is far beyond the strength of our own police, both in terms of intensity and the kind of weapons that are carried by the bandits or herders or whatever you call them. So let us call for additional deployment. So I don't subscribe to this notion of military being compromised. What is happening is that the military, being human like me and you, when they are posted to Benue, rather than the state government taking care of them, supporting them, in addition to whatever the federal government gives them as stipend, they are not given that desired attention. So there are possibilities of the Fulani herders being well-to-do people infiltrating their ranks. You understand? That has not been proven.
Saying the military is
that has not been proven. That has not been proven. I am saying it's still about the issue of leadership in Benue State. And let me tell you, this is a very serious matter. In April, the Toti called all of us. Dito, the Uchidoma, called the Idoma segment of the state, all the political leaders in the state, to tell you how willing we are to sit down and talk. We all went to Boku. The governor was there. We, 2 senators, 8 House of Rep members from the TIP side, we were there. We discussed. You understand? But the disconnect is from government house.
All right.
If Toti can call
very
to
quickly,
come,
very
why
quickly
will not call when the governor calls us?
Very quickly, because we've run out of time. Mr. Kurugh, now there are calls for self-defense, that the people should stand up and defend themselves. If this happened, do you actually think this is the way to go? Will this solve the problem if people begin to defend themselves against these attackers?
The chief scribe of the Secret Service, that's the DSS, said it in one of the interviews, that everybody can defend themselves. That everybody is a security to his or her household. So for me, answering your question, self-defense is the way forward. Can you go back to the numbers that have been killed from 2019 to present? But if we're defending ourselves alongside the military or alongside the armed forces, I think the casualties would have reduced. So for your question, I wholeheartedly believe in self-defense. If we're given the opportunity to defend ourselves, we will do it. However, if we're not given an opportunity to defend ourselves because of the constitution that we are all guided in this country, there must be a way to defend ourselves. Enough is enough. And again, let me add finally, I didn't know that we had moving and workable helicopters in this country until the day Benue people said enough was enough. They hit the streets. I saw how many Air Force helicopters just flying across the air. What has happened to them? Checking out the forest and all of this. It's disheartening to see. I'm very angry and I must control myself.
Just quickly, 10 seconds. We've run out of time.
Benue lives matter. Everybody.
I'm very brief.
10 seconds.
Most states in Nigeria that have succeeded in stemming the tide of security in the state have used vigilante groups.
All right. Okay. Unfortunately,
Senator,
we have run out of time. We really hope that we could have finished this conversation, but maybe we'll continue it another time. Okay. Thank you so much for your time on the program. Mr. Ukan Kurugh, it was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much. Well, that's where we have to leave the conversation this morning. Unfortunately, time is not our friend, but we do hope that real action is taken in Benue State. We'll now hand you over to our Lagos studio where Veronica and the rest of the crew are standing by to continue with the rest of the show.
All right, thank you to Titus and Eshamamo for that timely conversation. And like you rightly pointed out, we hope that necessary actions are taken to address the situation in